So the article written by Elle Kenna, Restorative Justice in Higher Education, the Interactive Classroom in Corrections Today, tells about the Missouri Department of Justice and their mission to have public safety through efficient supervision and effective rehabilitation services for adult offenders. They also believe into uh, rehabilitative programs offered by the department um, being successful. As the department strives towards their mission of a zero recidivism rate, educational programs have long been gone to the wayside as tax cuts throughout the years have defunded these programs, and the Violent Crime Control on Law Enforcement Act prohibited the Pell Grant from actually being used by inmates. The sad thing is that these programs were the best answer to reduce the likelihood of inmates being back into corrections. Um, the fortunate thing is that volunteer programs and private donations have been the main contribution, um, helping these programs kind of stay alive. Some of the programs in the article were given as the Restorative Justice Organization. Their main thing was to develop educate inmates on how to become accountable for their actions and to respond to victims with sincere understanding. Um, Another one was the interactive classroom taught by a professor that would reflect on their learning experiences um, on restorative justice. Um, and this has also become part of the education program for Missouri Correction Center. Another one is to get students and inmates to learn together, where they're able to share their knowledge, different perspectives, and life experiences with each other. This kind of gives away, helps inmates um, put themselves back into the community, and the community to look back at inmates together. Um, they they've established structures to develop practical ways to educate the inmates, um, and these programs kind of show there's more ways, there's more than one way to skin a cat, and how the educational institutions and prison institutions can work together and transform inmates from offenders to citizens. Um, the purpose of the article was, in my opinion, is to educate the public on ways that we're able to rehabilitate inmates um, instead of just locking them up. Um, and the Missouri Corrections Department seems to be doing that by these innovative ways. Uh, the idea that we should find better rehabilitative ways for these inmates than locking them up is important, and that we should try to pull these people up rather than let them fall, because at some point they will be released back into the community. Um, and I think that this article also relates to juveniles, because juveniles are usually easily influenced by their surroundings, and having these educational programs, either as a student or an inmate, teach them how to cope, um, and it should influence them to be a better citizen. Education should be number one in juveniles. So these programs will help rehabilitate them if need be. Um, I thought the article was easy to read. It was well organized. Um, it had a good introduction with examples of these programs, um, outline what they were about, and then how um, it all comes together for the Missouri Department of Justice. Um, and I thought it was well written and organized. The intended audience, I think, is the public, because I don't think the public really understands what inmates go through or what they do. I think a lot of people think that they're just locked up and they serve their time and then they're released. But I think that this article shows them, or shows the public, that um, these volunteer programs are out there and that they may be interested in volunteering themselves, because it said that 97% of the inmates will enter back into the community. So the community should do their part and try to help these individuals before they are released and either end up back in jail where they could be, when they could be a productive member of society. Uh, I will say that there wasn't a lot of evidence supporting these programs um, by their success rates or vice versa. Um, they did seem like that there were no active results, um, and that they should, in part, but there should be um, there would be a nice it would be nice to know how well these programs are successful, and if this money from volunteer or from private citizens is doing its part, or should we rethink some of them. Um, and I don't think anything was missing. I honestly tried to place myself in a position as if I was going to be a possible volunteer, and try to think of the program I would want to help with. And I also tried to visualize the programs in action, um, and I felt that it was a good idea of what they would be like. So I did think it was very informative.